Welcome back, everybody, to the Wild Faith Podcast. My name is Evan Bungham. I have my co-host Luke Timmons with me today. We are on episode 9 of Turkey Talk. It is our final one of the season. Luke, how are you doing today?
Doing good. It's back from gritty South Dakota trip, and still got a week and change here for Minnesota.
That's right. There's still time. Still time.
Oh yeah. But I mean, our last episode was on the way out to South Dakota, and now we're back. So we'll have to dive into the entirety of the trip. But it was gritty, it was grindy, and it was fun though. A lot of fun.
It was definitely fun. Turkey hunting is always fun, no matter, that could be with some choice words, because sometimes it's not fun for the most part, but it's to me it's always fun.
Yeah.
Even when it gets hard.
Yep.
It was a great trip, and it was one to remember. And for you guys, it was your first
Definitely.
trip to South Dakota for turkey hunting.
Yep, first trip for turkeys. Yep. Probably won't be the last either. It was a lot of fun. I think, like you and I talked about, at the top of a damn mountain. It's not for that area we were in, at least, was not for the faint of heart. And I would think majority of people would be like, "Yeah, I'm not doing this, and I'm not coming back." But I'd be, if life and the wife approved, I would have stayed a couple more days, because we had, getting into it, you obviously, congratulations, because you got your first turkey out in South Dakota. So that was awesome. And it was kind of funny because Noah and I were sitting down south of you in a kind of a meadow that had the bluff dump into it. And we're like, oh, we'll just wait for him, because we meet up like 7:30, and all of a sudden he walked up, and neither of us saw the bird in your bag, and and all of a sudden we're like, oh, damn it, you got a bird.
It's it's the funny thing about the hills, and you guys were, as the crow flies, maybe 1,000 yards away, maybe like 2 ridge tops, and you couldn't even hear me shoot.
Yeah, I would say half of that. I think when we looked at Onyx, I think it was like maybe 500 yards away.
So which is wild, and it puts into perspective of how hard, this weekend, I should say this past weekend we were hunting, how hard it really was. And looking back at it now, kind of going through all the forums, through Facebook threads, through like South Dakota turkey hunters, and just Rock Slide, and then just people that we met out there too. It was pretty hard. Like, a lot of people were striking out, and there was no gobbling. You maybe get 30 minutes off the roost, and maybe 30 minutes, just before they go up and roost at night. And that was it. So there's like no midday action. Birds were broke up. We were finding birds all the way from down the valleys. We were finding them in town. We were finding them on top of ridge tops. It was literally like trying to find a needle in a haystack without the needle in the haystack. So it was.
Yeah, it's hard when they're not gobbling, and it's even harder in that country because it's hard to see them when they're broke up. Because I think we were maybe off 2-ish weeks. So. As far as it, I just talking with some of the locals and in the area, they're like, yeah, they're pretty broke up, and all the reports that we had really kind of were going off of were kind of 2 weeks old, so a little outdated, but. We still got her done.
Like I said, going into that trip, if one of us kills a bird, in my opinion, we all win. And just because it's a gritty hunt, and it's a lot different chasing him up at such high elevation, like where we were at, compared to chasing him in like the foothills, or chasing him on like farm country. That subspecies of like, just the Merriams in general, they range all over the state, pretty much west of the Missouri, I would say, but you can get them in a lot of different types of topography. But where we were staying at, and kudos and thank you to Scott for housing us and letting us use all these amenities, greatly appreciated. We chose to hunt them up high, and I don't even know what the number is. Do you have a recollection of what we put on for miles?
I think it was I was looking on my phone app yesterday, and I think it was just over, like, somewhere in the 55 range in 3 days, 3.5 days, 3 days in the morning. Yeah, it was. Yeah, like I said, not for the faint of heart, and you know, walking that flatly is no problem. But when you're adding in anywhere between 5 to 6,800 feet of
Yep,
elevation,
crazy.
it's a lot of up and
Well,
up
the
and
thing that
down.
was surprising, to me, because this would have technically been my second year hunting in the Black Hills and my fourth year hunting
Hmm.
just in the state in general for turkeys. And I assume, like, we went through all the highs and the lows of the first 2 days of just figuring out, like, hey, where are the birds at? Are they up high? Are they down low in the mornings? Well, we come to find out that, especially on the last day, that our theory was they're everywhere. I mean, we chased a bird that was
Yeah,
literally on top of a point, on a rock point at about 60, but it was about 6,800 feet. And he was literally on the two
yeah,
trees that overlooked everything. It was insane. And
yep.
he didn't leave King of
King
the
of the
Mountain, man.
mountain.
He did not leave. We will kill him next year. We're gonna get
Yeah,
him.
yeah. I mean, like I said, if I could have got a few
Mhm.
more days, a couple more days, even, or even maybe one more, it was. We were closing in on the X, especially that last morning. We had him. Well, we thought we had him pegged, and then all of a sudden he sounded off right behind us. Probably 300 yards up the dang hill, and then it was like, whoa,
Mhm.
because the night before we were chasing him all over and disappeared, and then sure as all could be, I mean, he was right behind us, and then dumped down into the opening, and he ghost bird
Oh
because he
yeah.
disappeared.
Well, the thing that amazes me is just how fast those birds can cover ground through how crazy of terrain that is. I mean, they're in the same elevation that
Yeah.
those rams that we saw were. I mean, they're just cruising
Oh
and
yeah.
moving. But not only that, they can drop down and be down in a meadow. I mean, like that last morning when we were chasing that bird that we called the King of the Mountain, like he was up top.
Hmm.
We chased him around for just maybe like whatever 30, 40 minutes it was, and then all of a sudden he was down in the bottom going up another ridge, which was probably about a quarter of a mile away. And we knew it was the same bird
Yep.
because this was one of the few days that we had that was actually nice because we fought high winds for about 3 days. And yep,
Hmm.
he did what a regular hunt would have been. He gobbled about every 15 minutes and he'd gobble back our calls and he just
Yep.
slowly kept going away. And then we'd run as fast as we could and then he'd slowly get farther. And it was just like, well, and we're done.
And yeah, I mean, and yeah, I mean that was the tough. I think honestly, the toughest part wasn't even the terrain; it was the
Mhm.
wind and the birds not gobbling because it would, you'd get them gobble a bit off the roost, and then you and I roosted a few too, and but we thought they'd go one way, they'd go the other the next morning, and it was a gritty, grindy trip, and it was
No, it
fun
was
though.
fun. I mean, like all those things,
Hmm.
we talked about a little bit on our podcast going out there, but trips like that, people think we're crazy of wondering why you would want to go do a vacation like that when you could go on a golfing trip or go fishing or do something that's relaxing. And it's one of those reset types of things where like for me, like I'm in a good space now. I feel good. My body feels good. Like it was good for me to get out and put some miles on and get the legs moving. And I will
Yep.
honestly say that that trip, as many miles that we did put on, I think it was more mentally testing than it was
Oh
physically.
yeah.
Even though, for putting that many miles in, that's like right up there with, as many miles as we put on like on a 6 day muley trip. But we
Yeah.
did
Oh,
it in
for
three
sure. Because
days.
the nice thing with yeah, exactly. Yeah, nicer thing, I guess, with the muley trip is you're doing a lot more, glassing, moving to the next
Yeah.
cut, glassing, moving to so you're definitely doing some good heavy walking. But this one, it was just, yeah, if you weren't moving, you were just
Yeah.
praying to happen upon a bird, and it did not happen that way. So you had to be moving.
Well, with as late as the season that we ran, and if we go back next year or the year after that, we'll definitely try it earlier. But we also had a really weird year this year where
Yeah.
spring happened, maybe 3 weeks ahead of time than it should have. So I definitely think those
Yep.
birds were done with, from a breeding perspective. Maybe there was still, I mean, and it's hard to say because like my bird did everything a turkey on that you would imagine was supposed to. I mean, it was got him off the
Hmm.
roost, called to him for about 30 minutes, worked him in, boom, done. Like it was like clockwork. So, but to
Yeah.
find that moment again, the rest of that trip was it didn't happen. We got close, but it didn't happen. So I look back at, just with the early spring that we did have, maybe next year we go back, a little bit earlier, but we learned a lot. I mean, I learned a
Yeah,
lot.
for
I mean,
sure.
like the interesting thing about you get tough birds like that, you just have to know the terrain. You got to know the area that you're hunting. You got to have some historical on data where birds like to move. I mean, like hindsight's 2020. Looking at it now, if I could have known these different
Mhm.
paths that these turkeys like to do from the multiple different roost sites they had, we probably could have cut in front of one and killed one. But it took us, all three
Yeah.
days to figure that out.
Yep. No, absolutely. It was, if anything, it was just, a good
Yeah,
getaway and good hiking trip and
hiking
good,
trip.
just no, I mean, it's all like, it's like you said, it's nice to be able to go out and do these things and just kind of get a good hard reset. And um it's a good learning opportunity because, like you said, where we thought we'd find birds,
Yeah.
we found them a little bit, but a lot of times, like we, the one night I think you and I went out, it was we bumped some deer, and then you're like, oh, there's two or three hens, and we're like, what in the heck are they doing up there? There's no way there's
But
turkeys
it
up there, and then all of a
climbing a
sudden, th-
like literally like a rock face vertical cliff. Would have never thought it would, and they're just
yeah,
walking, just taking their time.
yeah, I think that spot I was looking at Onyx's. I think it goes from like 5,800 at the bottom where you
Mhm.
and I were to up to like 65 at the top. So it's like,
Yeah.
what? I never would have guessed. I mean, like I would have guessed that maybe they work around the base of it where we kind of were thinking, but no, that's right where that King of the Mountain was. And so,
So no, like I said, it was a great trip. I'm very, very blessed and
oh
thankful
gosh,
that
yeah,
I finally got to punch my take on a Miriam, which I found out I'm about 90% sure it's actually a hybrid. Now that I've had
yeah,
a chance to compare like some eastern feathers, some feathers from my buddy Jordan, his wife Nicole's bird from last year, who
hmm,
has complete frosty white tips. So I'm guessing that that's a true Merriam. What I shot was it had to have been a hybrid, but doesn't matter. To say the least, still shot one. But
sure,
my question for you is,
yep.
now that you kind of got your first experience with hunting out in South Dakota, especially hunting in the Black Hills, what have you learned
Hmm.
that's made you a better turkey hunter for back home?
Mm. Probably just no. It's tough because it's like usually at home, it's almost like yeah, it's pretty hard not to find them. But I think just being patient's the number one thing. It's and trying being willing to try new things when things aren't
Mhm.
working. It's all right. Well, this bird's not reacting to my mouth call, but every time I hit the glass call, he's sounding off. So it's I think it's like anything. It's not you're not trying to learning to not get you know stuck in your ways and be willing to adapt and change. I think is key, and that's probably goes hand in hand with a lot of things in life. But I think especially with this because it was like that first day was gritty. I mean, we saw those. We were. I mean, right away
We
we got up to the top of the spot, heard him sound off off the roost, and then tried to chase one, and he was just on a
mhm.
mission, gone. And then we were kind of overlooking this spot, kind of really just probably taking more of a break than anything. And all of a sudden, we're like, where in the heck are these dang turkeys? And then I was getting ready to turn around, put it on my back, and then you're like, oh, there's three right at the bottom. And I think it was, I don't know, three, four hens. Maybe there was a Jake in there, but yeah, I think it's just getting used to the suck
Mhm.
and just being willing to adapt because especially in that country, you got to be willing to put on miles and willing to move because if you just kind of sit complacent, you're gonna be in for a long
No,
sit.
100%. That's awesome.
Yeah, but yeah. So I mean, if I mean we got a week and like I said, a week and change here yet in South Dakota here in Minnesota. So I'll definitely probably try and get out. We got some kind of crazy weather today, so
Really crazy weather. You
um
guys are like in it's tornadoes and it's flooding.
yeah. I mean, yeah, here in town we're not we're definitely kind of missing the rain. It's actually kind of just calm right now, but apparently this evening is going to get pretty nasty in a tornado watch. So we'll see what happens.
Nice.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it'll be good. Like I said, I'll get out a few more times and see if I can't not have a double tag soup. But if so,
It happens, man. It
it's all
happens,
right.
man. These are the
Oh
years
yeah.
that
Yep.
you know, I think I reflect back to, gosh, when was it? I think it was 2 years ago, or no, yeah, 2.5 years ago. That was back, that was the year that my dad passed, and I had a year that
Mm-hmm.
I've never had in my life. I had a year that
Mm.
fall. I've never hunted so much. And I don't know if I had just something inside of me where I was just trying to prove that I could, go out and kill a deer and just like, try to shoot one like in
Mm-hmm.
honor of the old man. And like, I didn't shoot a deer, and I hunted the most days I've probably ever hunted. Went to South Dakota, hunted at least 30 days in Minnesota. Even during gun season,
Yep.
couldn't kill one. And then rolling into that turkey season, had the same thing happen where I went to South Dakota, couldn't kill a bird. Went to Minnesota, couldn't kill a bird. And it was probably one of the most humbling years I've ever had, because I've killed a turkey and a deer since I was like 12 every year.
Yep.
And I don't know. I feel like one of those years, you get a year like that every once in a while, and it's a humbling year that just makes you hungry for the next time you get out. And I've said that multiple times going to the South Dakota hunt, that I was out for blood because I was just sick of not, and it worked out. I'm very, very thankful that it did. And even if it didn't,
Yeah.
I feel like on this last trip we did, I learned way more than I have in the 3 years that I've been out in South Dakota, when, it's been easy. I shouldn't
Oh
say
yeah.
easy, but like when birds are responding and they're hard to get to, like I learned a lot more on this trip on the aspects of like tracking, looking at fresh sign, really understanding like topography and like where birds are really wanting to congregate and move. And then also how
Mm-hmm.
that plays in with like the wind. Like I said, we had some really, really high, 40, 50 mile an hour gust days where it seemed like
Yeah.
every like valley and drainage we'd work to that we'd think would be out of the wind was in the wind. And then we'd eventually find spots that were out of the wind. And obviously that's when we found all the turkeys. So definitely
Yep.
learned a lot from this trip. And overall
Oh
as a
yeah.
season, it's crazy to think that we're already here. And I think I might take my father-in-law out, maybe a couple more times here, and then I'll probably hang up the boots and get out the boat and be done for the year. But it's been
Mm-hmm.
a grindy season. It's been long.
Yeah. It's been a good one though. A lot of learning for me, just going out a bunch with other guys and getting my brother a bird and all that. So it's been good, and yeah, it's gonna be. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of already summer, but it'll be summer before we know it, and then it's gonna be a quick summer. It's
It's already
lots of
flying by. That's the hard thing.
well, it's like I think it's every year, especially once you have kids. It's like you look at the calendar in April and they're like, we don't have that much going on. And then you
Hmm.
start getting, it's like, what, where did all these things come up? And it's like, you get to a point, you're like, all right, I'm done saying yes to
Hmm.
anything. I need at least a weekend a month to just do nothing and relax.
Oh no, I hear you 100% on that. And it's funny that it's like you
Yeah.
take a weekend with yourself and the family and you feel guilty for it, and you shouldn't. It's
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you shouldn't feel it because yeah, it's like you need them because it's like you just are running and then all of a sudden it's the end of August. You're like, where in the heck did
Mhm.
summer go? But it's good. It'll be lots of fun, and kids are getting older, so that's always fun to start seeing them, go swimming, fishing, and everything else, and so it'll be
That's
good.
good. So kind of wrapping things up with, this has been episode 9, which is crazy to think that we did 9 episodes of
Hmm.
Turkey Talk this year. Looking as a
Yeah.
holistic of the season, is there anything that you could do or change? Things that you learned, or anything that you want to specifically like highlight on, just from overall from the year.
Mm. I don't know if I, other than not missing it a Tom. Be about the only thing I'd change, I guess. But no, I mean, it's just it was been this is really the first year that I've been because like the last 2 years I've killed a turkey like the first year within 5 minutes of the
Hmm.
season opening, and last year pretty quick too. And so it's been a good year of just kind of learning. And I mean, I've done more turkey hunting I obviously this year than I have combined the last 2 years easily. So just a lot of learning and figuring out what birds will do. And then, hunting throughout the season's been good too, because, early season, I don't want to say it's easy because obviously I'm still holding on to a
Hmm.
tag, but um, it is a lot more easy. You get the birds to react a lot more and come into decoys and calling a lot more. But so going from that to now where they're really broke up, like what they were in South Dakota, and I'm sure back home now too. I haven't really been out much driving around since we've been back, but it'll be like I said, it's been good to just learn and just keep storing stuff away in the old brain and being able to use it, going forward and into next year. And as that was some loud thunder. Sorry. Like, is the roof caving in? No. Sorry. I was like, what is that? Um, anyways, no, it'll be good. Like, I got out a few times this year with Liam. So, as he gets older, getting out with him more and that'll be, that's just, you know, it'll get to
Yeah.
a point where I don't even care if I'm bringing out a bow or a gun. It'll just be more fun to just watch him learn and teach him things as I've learned, and so he can learn from my mistakes and all that stuff. So
No, that's
yeah.
awesome.
How about you? What's something you've
Oh, it's a
learned or
great
changed?
one. Um, you know, I, there's really not much I would change this year. I had a very, very
Hmm.
blessed, lucky year. I had two awesome hunts, and I had a short season. I didn't really have many days that I could get out, and maybe that's the one thing
Yeah.
I would change. I think I only took Nora out twice with me this year, back home at the farm, and like I said, I didn't
Yep.
have really many days to get out and hunt, and I don't feel comfortable
Mm.
taking my 2.5, 3 year old out in public quite yet. Just from
No.
the safety, yeah,
Absolutely not.
just
Yeah.
from the safety aspect. So like that's one thing because she like this year was man, she was on me for getting her out turkey hunting. So I was glad, at least blessed, I got to take her out a couple times on the farm. I wish I could have got her out for
Hmm.
a morning. There's still a chance that I can. I've got a couple of pieces of private up north that maybe I'll take her out with her grandpa or with Ron, and we'll go out there and hopefully he can shoot one. But it's
Hmm.
been fun though, man. She's been like she got so excited after I came home and showed her that fan from that bird from South Dakota. She's like,
No, I
"Oh, you
bet.
shot one?" I'm like, "Yep, I did." But yeah, not too much I would change. That's probably like the only thing. I learned a lot
Hmm.
from the limited time that I got this year, and it's kind of funny how we're getting to that phase of our lives where our priorities are shifting a lot. From a family perspective, but yet we're still making the time to get out and do stuff. But I feel like
Yeah.
even this fall for you and I, it sounds like you got a new lease for bow hunting, which is super exciting. But we still have our
Yep.
South Dakota trip coming up in here in November,
Hmm.
and I just look at it where time's gonna be short, and I'm just gonna have to really take advantage of those windows, and that's kind of what this turkey season was for me too. I think I only had a total of maybe, man, it's probably less than 10 days that I got to hunt this year, and going into the
Yeah.
season, I had plans on taking 6, 7, 8 people out this year, and I was the furthest thing from that. So, um, yeah, not a whole lot. I guess I would change. Just I wish I could have got my daughter out more, but she had fun when we did go out, and
Sure.
she'll be ready to go fishing the boat here pretty soon.
Nice. Yeah, that'll be nice to once turkey's wrapped up, get out and just kind of
Well,
relax
you
and
get to a certain point with the
get
turkey
ready.
season, though, where and I wanted to talk about this for a while on the podcast because I think it's hilarious. Like when you've turkey hunted enough, you get to a point where you have phantom gobbles and phantom
Oh,
hen calls in your head. And I can't tell you how much it happened to us on this
yes.
trip where it's be like, God, was that really a gobble? And there's no way it was. And then, but
Every
every
time.
time, and then it's like the one of those times where it's like it is, it was a gobble, but you didn't think it was because you're second
Yep.
guessing yourself and like, there's no way because I've been hearing this
Yeah.
thing in the back of my head just whispering at me for the last 5 hours.
Well, you hear it in
You're
your
in your
sleep.
sleep. That's right.
You're like half awake and you can hear it and it's like, what is going? Yeah, that's definitely true. Yeah, for sure.
No, it's funny.
Oof.
I think, as you're kind of growing into your passion for turkey hunting, and I'm obviously just a thoroughbred turkey nut, and it's kind of funny
Mm-hmm.
because like we ran into some boys from Mississippi, and man, talk
Yeah,
about some thoroughbred
turkey
turkey
nuts.
nuts. Like they were on
Yeah.
their fifth state on a 3-week trip, and they already
Mm.
killed 17 birds. But they did say that South Dakota was one of the hardest states they've hunted ever.
That's the only state they didn't
Yeah.
shoot one, so can't feel too bad
No,
about it.
no.
I mean, the two guys, the two dads, it was kind of funny because I think you and I both looked at each other when we walked into that
Mhm.
diner for breakfast. We're like, them boys ain't from around here because they, you could just
Yep.
tell. And when we ended up both kind of walking out at the same time, and they're like, "You guys out turkey hunting?" And we're like, "Yep." And the two dads in that group, I think, had said they were been turkey
27
hunting
years.
together for 20, yeah, I'd say 30 years. So it's like when they're struggling, you can't feel too bad about yourself when you're struggling. Especially for me, it's on
Yeah.
just starting year 3. So yeah, it was fun to talk to them, and I think that's what we've talked about it a few times like throughout this podcast. But that's kind of what's fun about running into some hunters when you're out just and about in this country is just pretty easy to strike
Oh,
up a
yeah.
conversation and I mean I think we sat and talked to those guys for 20, 30
At
minutes
least.
just on the sidewalk. So yeah. And and learn from them. They kind of were giving
Mhm.
us some tactics on where they had found some and so that's always nice to just kind of keep that community of hunters together because there's a whole nother community out there that definitely don't appreciate us or
Mhm.
want us around, I think. So
Yeah. No, that's true.
yeah.
No, but like I said, this is the last one, and we'll definitely do turkey talk again next year. But I think we
Oh
will
yeah.
probably be taking a little bit of a break to spend time with our families this summer. So we'll still be pumping out
Yeah.
an episode a week for you guys. Um, but regards to doing like a second series, we'll probably wait. I think we discussed that we will most likely probably do like a rut talk, something similar to that, where we'll, maybe starting in October, mid October, all the way through
Yep.
probably end of November. We'll do something similar to what we did for Turkey Talk, but we'll probably take the summer off and enjoy time with, relax, man, enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. It'll be a good summer and I'm excited for it. Lots of fun planned camping trips, all that kind of stuff, fishing. So
Nice.
it'll be good.
Well,
Maybe a turkey
maybe a
yet.
turkey. Well, we'll definitely give highlights if you do end up shooting one here, but there's still time. You got 10
Yeah.
days.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it'll be good. And it looks like crap weather today, but it'll be I think probably pretty solid this weekend. So maybe get Liam out a couple more times.
Nice. Well, hunting the blind with all the rain.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, it's like I've looked up a few times. It's thundering to beat the band right now.
I want to say
so
Hayfield's
no.
like flooding. Like the town's like underwater.
Yeah, I saw some pictures of the golf
Rough.
courses. I don't think they'll be
No.
golfing anytime
No,
soon.
and we're kind of we've got actually like a perfect amount of rain. I'm more worried about my corn that I just planted back home that it's going to flood away, but that's high ground, so it should be okay.
Yeah, that spot should be pretty good.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Yep, that's all you can do. Separate the big man upstairs and move
but
on.
we just want to thank all of you guys for jumping along with the journey with us through the whole entire turkey season and tuning into all these episodes.
Yeah.
And like I said, we're learning with all this, and hopefully next year we'll be able to bring in some more people that know more than us, and we continue to kind of grow that community just through Wild Faith Podcast, but also kind of through the different segments of what we cover, from turkey hunting to deer hunting, etc. But we appreciate all of you guys that have listened and contributed, and we're excited for another year in the books.
Absolutely.
Well, sweet. Until next time. Well, guys, this until next year for Turkey Talk, we're gonna sign off here, and we'll see you starting Mondays at 5 a.m. again with our regular podcast. And like I said, appreciate y'all, and that's it.
Yep.
Peace out. See you guys.
Thank you for joining us on this journey through faith and the great outdoors. We hope today's episode has inspired you to seek God's presence in the wilderness and deepen your connection with nature.
If you enjoyed today's discussion, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to the Wild Faith Podcast on your favorite platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. By subscribing, you'll never miss an episode, and you'll continue to be a part of the Wild Faith Podcast community. We'd also love to hear from our listeners, so please don't hesitate to reach out with your questions, comments, or topic suggestions. You can connect with us on social media or through our website. Your feedback is important to us and helps us improve and tailor our content to better serve you. And always remember, the great outdoors isn't just a playground for hunting and fishing. It's a sanctuary for finding solace and spiritual renewal. As you gear up for that next adventure, I pray you find God's presence in the crackling of a campfire, the thrill of reeling in your catch, or the quiet solitude found in nature. Until next time, thank you for listening to the Wild Faith Podcast. Take care, and God bless.